Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Alexander Kazina, aka Kozi Bear, and this is Pitch Perfect, the only game show on the internet where two teams compete to deliver me the perfect pitch. Tonight, I'm joined by an assortment of faces both familiar and new to Respawn Aim Fire. Over on the red team, we have Chad, Mike, Innes.
Hi, y'all.
And
That's
joining
me.
him as his second in command, or maybe first in command, we'll see how the dynamics so happen to play out, the one and only Asa, aka Asa.
It's that second one. Asa Gray, the 5-star man, bringing you a 5-star pitch. They are not ready.
Oh man, this is going to be exciting. And in the yellow team, we have, of course, RAF regular Adam Gumby.
What?
And joining him, his partner in crime, the one, the only, Ari.
Hello.
I hope I pronounced that correctly. I hope there is a correct pronunciation.
Nah, it's fine. I hang out on things and write pitches for fun with my friend. So It's going to be a great time.
Excelente. Alrighty, before we go any further, I'm behooved to remind everybody watching or listening in at home that this production you're currently enjoying is part of a series of monthly rotating shows we do in addition to the Respawn Aim Fire podcast, and that you can enjoy new installments of this show a month early if you subscribe to us over on Patreon, over at patreon.com/RespawnAimFire. Now that we've gotten all of that out of the way, let's get this show on the road. In case this is your first time tuning in, Pitch Perfect is a semi-improvised game show inspired by Kinda Funny's Debatable, in which two contestants, or in this case, two teams of contestants, will pitch me various ideas that I will rank against each other on an ever-growing top 10 list. At the end of the evening, whichever team has the most pitches in the top 5 spots on the list will win the show and earn Pitch Perfect bragging rights, also known as PP bragging rights for short. For our second ever installment of Pitch Perfect, I wanted to draw upon some recent developments in Hollywood. After years of flops and missteps, the video game industry has finally started making motion pictures that have captured the hearts and dollar bills of audiences around the globe. With the Super Mario Bros. Movie this past April shattering box office expectations just here, there, everywhere, all around this here deep planet Earth. Invariably, as more and more video games make their way to the silver screen, we're likely to see many companies follow in Marvel's footsteps and attempt to interconnect their properties into sweeping cinematic universes. It's an exciting prospect, but if, for example, the Dark Universe is any indication, only some of these games turned cinematic universes will likely ever see the light of day. And today, I'll be judging where this light is fated to shine next and where it is fated to fail by letting Chad and Adam's teams pitch me competing cinematic universes derived from the characters and worlds of two of the industry's biggest video game companies. In round 1 of tonight's show, both Chad and Adam's teams will take turns presenting me pitches for 5 interconnected movies, each based on properties owned by their chosen company. Based on their quality and creativity, I'll be ranking each pitch on the list as it grows until all 10 in total have been presented, at which point I'll read off the list as it currently shakes down and we'll move on to round 2. Are we ready to start?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Seems like red team's way more ready. I'm just saying.
Look,
Yeah.
look, I'm new here. I'm a little, it's I don't know, I'm not super familiar with the format, so once we get in, it'll be fine.
I'm sure that everything will go all according to plan, much like the MCU these days. Chad, Asa, two seem like you're rearing to start. Before we hear your first pitch, what video game company did you choose to go with, and why?
We have Capcom as our chosen video game publishing house. There are a ton of really great IP buried in Capcom's history. Some of them famous, some of them not as famous that we're going to draw on and make them similar to like Guardians of the Galaxy, that kind of idea. So yeah, we've got a rich history of things to pull on for our movie cinematic universe. Ace, would you like to add anything?
There's a lot of hidden gems. It feels like I feel like we're giving some love to some of these franchises that Capcom itself has not particularly shown over the last couple years / console generations worth. So very, very excited to kind of flesh out, maybe even show Capcom its own potential of what it has in its hands.
What a great opportunity too for synergy, right? Release blockbuster movies that then drive sales of the games and interest in remasters and continuing on these things. It's going to be wonderful. You're going to really
Absolutely
like the way you look. I guarantee it.
Before I hand the mic fully over to Chad and Asa, Yellow Team, do you want to talk a little bit about the company that you chose and why you chose it?
Oh boy, we chose a little small indie startup called Electronic Arts. They've got all the cool IP. They're the cool kids on the block, and we're here to make their image good because that's what you do. My main thing here is that it doesn't matter what I'm telling you now because my partner, when I said, hey, can you make some pitches for some video game movies? I am now staring at a 14-page document. I believe these pitches are so good, it doesn't matter what company we had. We're going to bring it to prominence. But yes, we did pick EA for the vast library of super cool things that they have.
And
We didn't pick things that were necessarily unknown, but we're potentially doing some things with IP that you're familiar with that you don't quite expect.
Ooh, that's really, really exciting. But before we can hear some of these unexpected pitches, we have to hear some unexpected pitches from Chad and Asa. Are you guys ready to give us your first pitch?
We are
Yes.
ready.
The floor is yours.
All right, so we've decided ahead of time because we planned this out real well. I'm going to pitch you on a game. It's a game you might be familiar with called Dead Rising. Here's our pitch. 2006. Same year the game came out. Takes place Metropolis at Metrotown. What is that? Oh, maybe it's the largest mall in British Columbia and Vancouver. Maybe it's a great destination. Maybe it's a great setting for this film. The plot of this movie, it's a horror film with comedic elements. Why the comedic elements? One, to break the tension, make it relatable, and to show off our main character, Ryan Reynolds, Canadian actor, as Frank West. There's a deadly pathogen. It's released and it's turning folks into zombies, and the world's most amazing and beautiful mall is the centerpiece of it all. Ryan Reynolds is trapped in what will soon be ground zero for a nuclear attack aimed to destroy the outbreak before it spreads worldwide. He fights with all sorts of fun Capcom properties, things like Devil May Cry swords, a couple of toy robot dogs in a tech shop in the mall, maybe one that resembles Rush from Mega Man, one that resembles Amaterasu from Okami, and in the background we see advertisements for the Mega Man movies. I wonder why, which are action movies in that universe. Here's the thing, though. Movie goes on, Ryan Reynolds, who knows his fate? End of the movie, post-credit scene. We're panning across a dead, empty, destroyed mall. Zombie corpses everywhere. Portal opens up in a GameStop in the mall. Bright, blinding white light behind them, and a silhouette of an armored individual. We hear a female AI voice say, "John, I think we found it." Black screen, white text on the screen saying Frank West will return.
Shit. Does this pitch have a particular name, or is it just Dead Rising?
Here's the thing. We're building a universe. We have IP that we need to rely on that customer base to come out. If we call it anything other than Dead Rising, we're doing a disservice to this franchise. So we're sticking with the simple Dead Rising for this one.
Okay. I respect it. I gotta say, I want to get this out up front right here, right now. I am so pleased that right off the bat, you guys are taking this so seriously, because I was really concerned we were going to get a repeat of, what was it? The Xbox Game Pass ride or whatever the hell it was. right
Look,
off the bat, these
the
are
game
some.
I am
has
so
sounded like a
happy
great
to hear
pitch.
you acknowledge that was a bad idea right now.
I mean, it was a bad idea. It wasn't the worst idea. the VR room or whatever that was
That weird
called.
VR room. Yeah, that was awful.
But yeah, that was really
An
good.
attraction that's literally a ticket.
But just the one ticket.
Real
maybe.
talk. Real talk. That was a great pitch. Ultimately, it can only go at the number 1 spot on this list because it's the only pitch so far. But I'm going to be surprised if it immediately gets toppled. But there are 2 people that can make me eat my words. Are you guys ready for your first pitch?
Yes, we've decided to have these pitches. We'll go back and forth, and the partner can jump in or whatever. By the way, these are full pitches. Buckle in.
Okay.
Get a beverage. These are
All
not
right.
to play around. So we're going to go ahead and start off with the first one, which I think is the easiest sell. I mean, these movies have already been made, basically. So we're gonna do a very popular EA IP. We're gonna go Mass Effect. Obviously, it's big hitter. Everyone like Mass Effect. Sci-fi. It's really big. But we want to do something interesting. We're gonna do sort of an origin story, sort of a side story. We're gonna give it Mass Effect Archangel is the movie we're making. What was
Okay.
Garrus? What was Garrus doing during those years?
I was
When did Garrus
that's
become
an interesting
Archangel?
name. I forgot. In Mass Effect 2, Garrus has the codename Archangel. Can't pronounce it. Designated by him by, what's his name? Elusive Man. Martin Sheen.
Yes.
What's his face?
Yeah, Martin Sheen. Yep, absolutely. So, some keywords. These are, man, I got keywords and inspirations, and I got pitches,
shit.
and I got directors, and I have actors. I've got all of it. Thank you very much, my partner. All right, so sci-fi, action, revenge, found family, popcorn flick. These are some of the words that you're throwing out. Like, hey, this is cool. Inspirations. Very John Wick. A little bit of cyberpunk thrown in there whenever we talk about the style. You know, very neon, very futuristic. But it's basically Space John Wick. Let me tell you how this movie opens up. This is going to be fun. All right. Buckle in, like I said. Movie opens up. Hangar Bay, space station. Gang members from 3 different gangs. And by the way, all of this research, this is literally like from the lore of the video game. So none of this is messed up. It's all perfect.
This is almost directly opening scene. It's pulled from a comic that was done that kind of briefly goes over the Garrus Archangel kind of story.
Whoa.
I wonder if the
So this is
Capcom
based on
team
that as well.
did this much research. I don't think so. All right. Opens up on a hangar bay. Gang members from 3 different gangs are scattered around, hiding behind cover from a second-level balcony across the room. There are corpses littering the floor, dead to a single bullet. I wonder who that single bullet sniper is. A human in red and a Batarian in blue are hiding behind a low shipping crate. The Batarian can't believe they're doing all this for one man. Peeks above the crate. It's not just any man. It's the Archangel. Did you hear me whisper? It's the Archangel. There's his name. It's right there. The Batarian takes a sniper shot to the head and collapses. We see the muzzle of a sniper disappear back behind the balcony. We then hear the lovely voice of Garrus, played by Paul Bettany.
Whoa.
Everyone's favorite Brit. He's here. As shots fire from around the room, pinging against the walls around the target. Begin recording. This is all Paul Bettany now. I will not let the gangs of Omega slander the courage of my team. They will not use our defeat to squash the courage of the people here, to push them further under their thumb. We were protectors. We were fighters. We were hope. I was righteous. I was blind. I was a fool. I will not let lies be the goods on my grave. This is the final reckoning of the Archangel. Holy shit, this movie is amazing already. And that's just the intro. That's a cold open, baby. We're going back. Mass Effect Archangel tells the exploits of Garrus, played by Paul Bettany, to free the space station Omega from the oppression and fear of 3 gangs that run it. We'll see him and his Turian friend. How do you say this?
I think it's Sidonis. Sidonis? It's a comic. I can't. They have
That's
no
true.
Oh yeah,
pronunciation.
lots of research done here. Yeah, don't even
I don't
know how
wanna
to
hear it.
pronounce what you wrote.
Sidonis gather a crew. By the way, Sidonis, played by Timothy Chalamet, the other Turian in this movie, gather a crew of competent specialists who have their own bones to pick with the gangs and enact vigilante justice against the station. It leads to the 3 gangs. By the way, Chad, you wouldn't know because you don't know video games. Blue Suns, Eclipse, and Blood Pack are the gangs that are in Omega and Mass Effect. Coming together under the leadership of Ari Tylok, played by Letitia Wright, because we'll talk about that with the director in a second. Some internal conflict here. Not all leaders want to work together or be under Arya's command, but the threat of the Angels is too high for them to ignore. They're getting sniped. They got to work together. Plot-wise, it's Angels versus the gangs of Omega, large action sequences and firefights of the crew coming together and protecting the people of the station. Garrus is afraid to make friends again after everything that happened with Shepard, because, hey, guess what? Shepard died 2 years ago. He got sucked into space and he's dead, and Garrus is on his own. But slowly, Sidonis and others convince him to come out of a shell of their leader. Sidonis is the more likable of the two, but there's something about Garrus' zealousness toward righteousness that's infectious and motivates the crew. We got a little found family. We got a Guardians of the Galaxy. Everyone's coming together. Everyone loves Garrus. I mean, everyone loves Garrus in real life. We're doing it here as well. There are tensions. Further into the story, there becomes a bit of a rift in the Angels. They've acclimated some credit, and people joke about making up to just leave the station and live content lives planet side.
Okay.
Like, oh,
Really,
I got more. Stop me.
I am really enjoying this pitch. I'm incredibly impressed by the level of research that has gone into this, but and I don't like, here's the thing, I don't want to put a timer on people's pitches. I don't want to prevent them from spilling their heart's content, but we got to keep this succinct.
I'll wrap it up for you. Basically, Sidonis turns on the team, tries to sell them out to the gang leaders. And then Garrus has the final, basically the mission that's in Mass Effect 2, we get to that point where basically all Garrus' team slowly dies. At the very end, he's having the firefight. We go back to the recording at the beginning, and we see a little flash of N7 armor coming on his way. We literally tell the story of when Shepard dies to when Shepard comes back in Garrus' story as Archangel. Director, Ryan Coogler. That's why Letitia's right as there. We know her as the new Black Panther. Garrus is Paul Bettany. Sidonis is Timothy Chalamet. In the crew, Michael B. Jordan, because he's in all of Ryan Coogler's movies. I didn't mention this. Go ahead. Go ahead.
It's a 10-person crew. They all casted. We don't need to name them all.
We don't need to name all of them. Basically, we know the leader of the Blood Gang. He's a big Krogan, played by Alan Richardson, who you may know from Fast and Furious. You may know from Reacher,
from Titans,
or from Titans as well. Willem Dafoe plays a human mercenary leader of the Blue Suns because he looks like a creepy alien. And Jarath, who is a Solarian leader of Eclipse, is played by Doug Jones. We know as the big man from Shape of Water. There you go.
That's it?
Since I had to be cut off. Yeah, that's it. I mean, I had more, but that's it.
Okay. I mean, I'll reiterate what I said earlier. That is like a meticulously researched pitch. As you described Garrus' whole situation over on the Omega asteroid, I was brought back to that mission in Mass Effect 2. I actually replayed it relatively recently when they released the definitive editions of those games not too long ago. I really like it, and I'm not going to hold against you the fact that you took the entirety of the road and then some to explain it. But the whole point of this game show is to pitch cinematic universes. And he pitched a great movie, but I couldn't really begin to comprehend as you gave the pitch how this bleeds into the wider EA cinematic universe that you're building right now. And so for that reason, I'm afraid that it's going to have to go at the number 2 spot. It's still a very good pitch, but I just wanted a little bit more, some more building blocks explaining how you're going to tie it into EA's other property-driven movies.
Alex, I appreciate you noticing greatness when greatness is there. One of the things we're doing is we're pitching movies, right? And what I've learned when you pitch to creative people, you don't want to tell them every single detail. You want to give them just enough so that they feel they can contribute back. They don't want to make your vision happen. They want to be part of the vision themselves.
Suck ass.
I think that's where we're going to go here with Ace's next pitch.
I don't know. I feel like I wanted to hear more about who did you guys have as the second grip? Because I feel like you had a name ready to go.
Larry Johnson, he actually worked on John Wick 2 and 3. He's very good, really good at that action. He's a wonderful second grip, and we wanted to bring him onto this movie. I got an answer for all this. You can play it as a joke. I've got answers for all of this.
I apologize if you thought that was a joke. I wanted to know. Grip, a very underrated position on a film set. All right. So for ours, as we respect the host's time, the audience time, we're keeping these succinct. These are kind of elevator pitches, just as we want to get people excited. We want to get people wanting more. So our second movie that was briefly mentioned in that Dead Rising, our second movie is Mega Man: Rise of the Robot Masters. This is the more that I thought about this movie, the more mad that I got that it's not real. This is a live action adaptation, obviously very heavily CGI'd, but this fits, I think. Starring in what a cast! When I tell you this cast,
Ooh.
Canadian treasure Elliot Page as Mega Man.
Okay.
We have Eugene Levy as Dr. Wily. And then
Okay.
among the variety of robot masters that we meet in this film, including Donald Sutherland, Nev Campbell, Tommy Chong, proud Canadian, and of course, I got to represent it. I got to sneak wrestling in there somewhere. Kenny Omega as Cutman specifically. The setting is the far future 20XX in beautiful Toronto. The final climax of the movie does take place in the historic Distillery District. Just a great, beautiful backdrop for the futuristic. Obviously, the Distillery District continues to thrive in this far
I feel like
future.
you guys are really, really trying to curry my favor, setting all these movies in various Canadian cities.
I take such offense to that.
Are you Canadian, Alex?
Oh yes, very.
Did that?
Coincidence, 100% coincidence.
I just looked at what the best
man.
talent pool was and where the
Man,
best
but
locations
bring on
would be.
the Monster Hunter movie, which takes place in a fantasy world, but also Montreal.
Sidebar, real quick, Chad, check your Twitter DM. Just unrelated. This is something different. We were talking about earlier. The plot of the movie is ultimately pretty simple and straightforward, much like if you remember, time means nothing. So was it earlier this year? Was it last year? Lightyear? That was the movie that was based on the toy, that was based on the Toy Story. It's a very similar, very straightforward situation here, where in the Dead Rising universe, Mega Man is a very successful film franchise. It's beloved. It's gone on for multiple sequels. This is that first movie. This is the rise of the Robot Masters. This is the first of Mega Man's story in his battle against Dr. Wily and the forces of evil and the evil robots. You see it is a very, like I said, CGI-filled extravaganza as you see Mega Man battling the various Robot Masters, having to go through different perilous locations, ultimately overcoming the Robot Masters, stealing their weapon, adapting it to his own use, and then using it as he continues to battle up to the ultimate showdown with, again, the idea of Eugene Levy makes me so happy, and again, I'm so mad that it's not real, as Dr. Wily, where eventually the film ends. I'm not going to spoil how, just you'll have to wait and see. But in the post-credit scene, which again, we're building a shared universe, we hear cut. We see Mega Man is in the middle of a battle. He destroys one of the smaller robots. He clears out the room. We hear cut, and Mega Man breaks character. He takes off the helmet, which he doesn't do. I know they did it in the cartoon, but he doesn't do in the movie. But he takes off the helmet. You see Elliot Page. He walks off set. He sits down. He's got a little plate from craft services. A female voice, though. He can hear it. And a female AI speaks and says, "We see visual distortion to let us," or I'm sorry, excuse me, I apologize. I got excited. I misread this. We, the audience, see a visual distortion to let us know that Mega Man has been hacked. The voice says, "Mega Man, we need your help saving the future." And Elliot Page, as Mega Man, replies, "You've got the wrong guy, lady. I'm just an actor." The voice says, "That's precisely why we need you." Cuts to black, white text on screen. Mega Man will return.
I'm getting goosebumps, y'all.
Now-
I am getting goosebumps.
So, hold on. I have a question because I just want to clarify things. Is the idea that all of the events leading up to the post-credit scene where Elliot Page takes off the helmet are basically this film that's being made? Like, they didn't actually happen?
So the plot of Mega Man is like it. Yes, essentially. Like, we are seeing Elliot Page in the real world, like in our world, filming that Mega Man movie.
Again, remember,
But
Dead Rising is the world that this takes place in, and in that, it's just a movie franchise.
Yeah, so it's
what we
Elliot
see,
Page
okay.
as the actor, like Ryan Reynolds, and Frank West, and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia made my brain combine all of those. Ryan Reynolds' character, Frank West, knows Elliot Page plays Mega Man. So it's a fictionalized version of Elliot Page. that is hearing the. It is like Elliot Page, the actor.
So it was all a dream, but worse.
It's,
Yeah,
oh,
quick
no, it's not
question.
a dream.
How does Mega Man come back if Mega Man isn't real? Because you've now established that Mega Man doesn't actually exist in this
You'll
universe.
have
You
to
know
see.
what? Hold on.
You'll have to
Hold
see.
on.
Oh,
I'm gonna.
There's one
retreat.
last thing, Alex, that we have to plug in here. This
Yeah.
is a way for us to make sure that in our shared cinematic universe, Frank West and Elliot Page as Mega Man are in the same time. You know, because Mega Man the movie takes place in 20XX. That's far in the future.
Right.
That's 2011.
Makes sense.
They're
Okay,
together.
here's the thing. I'm going to put this one at number 3. Not because I think it's that bad. I think there are a lot of interesting ideas at play here. My issue is I just feel like a lot of my investment in the movie, it kind of gets betrayed by that final post-credit scene, as cool as it is. And I feel like the payoff of that post-credit scene is only really going to come to fruition in whatever it is that you have planned next. And maybe that next thing is really, really good, but I feel like as its own standalone movie, it doesn't work as well as it should.
But this isn't a reveal. Like, this isn't like a, wait, this wasn't it. Like, we've established in Dead Rising that the Mega Man, that's a movie. We're just seeing that movie that Frank West was sitting there. He got his tickets from Fandango. He's got his bucket of popcorn. He watched the same movie we watched.
And then it's just the post-credit scene.
I understand.
Hey,
I think that my ranking still stands. Like I said, lots of good ideas. There's a lot of content in here I like, but I feel like I'll need to hear all of your subsequent pitches to really fully appreciate what you have stored in those noggins of yours.
We've got a lot to build on.
All right, Yellow Team, are we ready for pitch number 2?
so we may have vaguely misunderstood the assignment. We brought to the table 5 franchises, not one franchise under a single EA banner. We have brought you 5 properties that can be turned into films or large series.
I can tell you from last time that didn't matter at all whether you followed the rules or not.
Well, so keep that in mind. For Mass Effect, the series is in fact doing Homeworld. There are 5 issues of comics. You do. That's 5 films in the same universe. Our next pitch. So what's really popular these days, right? We like retellings, we like remakes, we like reimaginings. It's what we're doing here. We're retelling video games in a cinematic format. So we're gonna double down on that. What else is very popular? Children's horror. Super popular. You have 5 Nights at Freddy's, Hello Neighbor, Poppy Playtime. All these things that take these very like childlike wonder and whimsy things and then puts that horror twist on them, and kids absolutely eat that shit up. I have no idea why. So we would like to pitch to you an innovative animated movie that blends gothic and surreal in the form of American McGee's Alice.
Ooh.
Titled Alice, the Madness of Wonderland. The movie opens up similar to the game. The story is Alice goes when she dreams, little child goes, dreams, is in Wonderland, has fun, whimsy times. Her parents read her these stories when she goes to bed. Then there is a fire in her house. Her parents both die, and due to survivor's guilt and a bunch of other mental health issues, she kind of mentally just leaves. She's not in Wonderland. She's not in the real world. She's just sort of in a dissociative coma for years. Her orderlies give her a stuffed rabbit many years later in hopes that it'll kind of jar her back into being who she is. And the rabbit starts talking to her, and it's her old friend, the White Rabbit from Wonderland, begging her to come back and save them. His pleas are enough to take her back, and we go from this very quick, short live-action segment in the beginning to this psychedelic, surreal, gothic sort of animated style that is iterative in the same way that Spider-Verse, the animation for Spider-Verse iterated on action for animation. We want the same thing for horror and surrealism. Again, not Spider-Verse style, but does a similar function to the animation. And Alice comes into her world. It is no longer the fun and whimsy land. It is a horrifying, dangerous world. All of her friends are now twisted monsters, and she has to go through this world with her friend, the Cheshire Cat, to essentially defeat the Jabberwocky and defeat the Red Queen to save the world of her friends. Of course, this whole thing is a metaphor for mental health and her overcoming all of her personal issues and things like that, which ends up being the recovery, which allows her to then wake up back in a live action setting to then wake up, recover in the real world, and be able to leave and continue on with her life. The sequels, of course, your franchisee comes in here with there's Alice Madness Returns, and you can continue to iterate on going back into Wonderland over and over and over again, even with different characters.
I gotta say,
this movie is directed really quickly by Henry Selick. So part of the
Ooh.
reason why the animation would work, the guy who did James the Giant Peach, Coraline, and Nightmare Before Christmas. So taking the visual kind of styling of claymation and seeing what you can do when you give that a higher sort of animation budget.
Wow. I gotta say, I really, really love this pitch. I, love how much of like an emotional spine this particular movie has. It isn't just, oh man, Mega Man runs around and shoots a lot of people. There's actually like, a character that is trying to just find a form of catharsis in a world of madness. I really, really love that. And I love that you went with, not a super obvious property that is indeed owned by EA. And you went with a, really talented director that I feel like most people, would not immediately think to animate the next animated masterpiece. I think, ladies and gentlemen, that we have a new number one on our list. I will say, it's not entirely clear to me just yet how Alice, the Madness of Wonderland will tie into Mass Effect Archangel. I'm sure that as you deliver more and more pitches, the grand vision of your cinematic universe will become more clear. But until then, Chad, Asa, are you ready for your next pitch?
Asa.
It's Asa.
Asa.
Hard A.
And he doubles down. I love it. Yes, I'm not gonna lie. That was a great pitch. It's very good. Lots of emotional heart in there. If you like emotional heart in your movies, wait till you hear what we've got next. Let me tell you.
It's just a shame that EA will charge you an extra $10 if you want to see the actual ending.
It's the movie industry. It's $20.
True, fair.
EA doesn't need to do a thing that the industry is doing it on their own.
Let me tell you about Street Fighter World Battle Tournament. You think Street Fighter, who do you think of? Ryu? Ken? Absolutely, and so do we. Stick to the classics. Who do we have? Canadian actor Tom Cavanaugh as Ryu, and Canadian actor Hayden Christensen bringing that Darth Vader star power as Ken. Here's the setting. 2012. You might notice it's a little bit further along in our timeline from when we launched Dead Rising in 2006, the setting being 2006. 2012, all centered around one tournament happening at the gorgeous Olympic Stadium in stunning Montreal. Absolutely beautiful. Here's the plot. It's your classic MMA boxing fighting movie, but we have two champions fighting for different reasons. Ryu is a single dad. Didn't see that coming, did you? Ryu's a single dad. His wife, girl's mom, died long ago, and he's fighting because it's really the only way that he knows how to support his family and make sure that his daughter has the life that he wants her to have. So he's out there using his body to bring home the bread so that she can eat. Then we have Ken. He was brought up in a different type of household. He was taught to perfectly hone his craft and be technically superior, and he'll always be able to win with that. But he struggles with imperfection and failure. And we see that through a backstory where 6 years previous, Ken was not able to fight off some zombies and instead lost his entire family.
Wow.
He was on a trip, you guessed it, to Vancouver, where there was an outbreak. Ken survived, rest of the family gone. So here's this tournament. The two start as rivals, Ryu versus Ken, in the largest fighting tournament ever. Ryu fighting for that cash prize so he can support his daughter. Ken fighting for the title and the renown to justify his ability to fight and so that he can feel forgiven for what happened to his family. By the end of the match, they learn to embrace their weaknesses, and in fact, they fight as a team to win the tournament together, sharing that cash prize. I won't reveal to you how that happens. We'll keep that for the movie. But the most important part of the movie is the badass theme song, rivaling that of Mortal Kombat, and that kicks in the moment the climax comes in.
You're gonna hear this song, and you're gonna immediately just be like, Mortal Kombat, what? It's gonna replace it within the zeitgeist, It's going to be perfect. And then obviously there will be more of a, there's an M. Bison presence. There is some shenanigans going on at the tournament that they have to work together
interject
to
for a
overcome.
second to say, I appreciate that you just said the best part of the movie, the most important part of the movie, the theme song. Like, I mean,
that's how good it's going to be.
I get it, but
and while there is not yet a notable Street Fighter theme song that you can sing out loud like you can the Mortal Kombat one, this will cement that in history.
It's a good
best
point.
Part comes after the post-credit scene. We see a backyard birthday party happening. Ryu Ken sitting on lawn chairs. Ryu's daughter celebrating her birthday the best way she knows how. Her and all of her friends sitting in front of a giant inflatable screen in the background with a projector playing Mega Man, the movie we just watched a few years earlier. A mail courier walks up to Ryu and Ken and gives them one letter addressed to both of them, curiously. Has no return address, no stamp. They open it up. Camera zooms in on a simple card that says you're invited to the most important fight of all, with the UNSC logo below it. Black screen, white text, Ryu and Ken will return.
Whoa.
Goosebumps again, y'all. Goosebumps again.
Real quick. What's this one called again?
This one is called Street Fighter World Battle Tournament.
Got it. Here's the thing. This one right here is Pander City because you're like, oh man, takes place in Montreal, but we're not going to actually mention any of the iconic Montreal landmarks outside of the Olympic Stadium because we don't actually care about Montreal and we're just trying to get Kozi to award us a victory on this one. But you know what?
Not at all, Kozi.
You know what?
How dare you, sir?
I love Montreal a lot. Not as much as I loved the Alice, the Madness of Wonderland pitch from just before this one, but enough to put this one at the number 2 spot.
We'll take it.
All right. Yellow team, are you guys ready for your next killer pitch?
Yes, I can go on this one. You guys are talking about classic sports movies, right? Fighting, that classic kind of an idea. Well, we've got a classic sports movie for you. It's a little movie called Fight Night.
Okay.
You guys remember this?
Okay.
Fight Night. Very good.
Colin Farrell, the remake of the movie Fright Night?
Absolutely.
That's the one.
They're pivoting right now.
There's a vampire.
Quickly, I'm changing the casting. One second.
Okay. I'll talk through it as you're doing this thing. So basically, it's a sports movie. It's an underdog movie. Guess what? It doesn't take place in Canada because the main setting is in a prison, and Canada is above imprisoning every citizen imaginable for petty crimes.
That's true.
So you're good on that one.
Absolutely true.
All right. So it's an underdog story about a man named Andre Bishop who's in prison for selling and possessing drugs. While he's in prison, he meets a friend named Ace, played by Bill Hader, who, we'll get to that in a second, but it's his friend, Bill Hader. He's in there. So basically, Andre Bishop has been sentenced to a long time in prison for selling drugs. During yard time, some inmates get into some fights, and he's like, oh man, I'm in prison wrongfully. What's going on here? Turns out that the warden is running a legal fight ring in the middle of the prison. The warden, played by David Harbour. Don't know if he's Canadian, but he's a fun actor. And his right-hand man, Franco, who's like the corrupt head of the guard, played by Bill Skarsgård. All right. So, Andre and Bill Hader.
His name is Ace, by the way.
His name is Ace. He's like, hey, I've got to go through these fights. I need to train. I need to get out of here because the prize of winning the fight night is an early release from prison. So the whole idea is like, hey, we've got to go through this fight. There's a reward at the end, but you're going to get the shit beat out of you on your way there. Eric, do you want to take over for me? Because
yeah, absolutely.
I've jumped all over. You've got this.
So Ace has offered to train Andre in essentially boxing because Andre is like some lanky college kid who doesn't know how to fight. And as this kind of goes on, we get to see that like mentor student relationship develop between Ace and Andre, and we find out that so Andre's in prison because his college roommate named Owen framed him for having drug possession and for selling it. He wants out because he doesn't deserve to be here. You find out that Ace is in prison because he did a murder. Because Andre's like, hey, why don't you, if you're such a great boxer, why don't you go and do it? And Ace goes, yeah, well, like I was on track to become like one of the best boxers in the country, and now I'm here. because I killed a guy. And it was in essentially defense of somebody else and to get revenge on them. And he essentially says, yeah, I killed somebody and I kind of deserve to be in prison for it. And he wants Andre to get out, A, to get his life back, and B, so he can go and find this person to check up on them for him. And he tells him not to feel bad about it because he knows this person feels bad about it. Tell them I love them. Tell them I'd do this all again for them. Wouldn't think twice about it. As it goes on, we do the fighting. There is a woman in the prison as well who is the daughter of the warden who hates all this underground fighting stuff and has been trying to find a way to essentially help make it stop. And, she becomes the third person in this bit. She helps train them because, of course, she knows how to fight because what are you talking about? This is a sports movie. And it all culminates in this final fight where, Adam, do you want to take over and explain the final fight? We've done all the tournament stuff. They've done all the training. Andre has been punched his way all the way to the top. And it's the final fight. It's the final fight night. And if he wins this, he gets his early release.
He gets his freedom. Yes. So the climax of the movie, again, fight night, we're all here. But the warden brings in a bit of a ringer. Mike Tyson shows up at the jail court. He's serving a 2-month sentence for fighting. I'm not going to do that on a plane, right? So it's like, oh shit, who are we going to face for the last time? I've ran through everybody. Mike Tyson literally shows up. At the end of the movie, Andre's like, yo, is that Mike fucking Tyson? What is this, Punch Out? And then, here we go.
Not,
and then,
not
him
an EA-owned franchise, by the way.
We cleared it. We already cleared it. Don't
Yeah,
worry
we already
about
cleared it. It's fine.
Okay. Okay.
And he's, I can still do this, right, Ace? Not a chance, kid. Just try not to die. So Mike Tyson is our surprise actor, thing at the end that we have to overcome. Go ahead. You can retake it.
The fight happens, Andre wins, but McQueen, who's been hell-bent on trying to make sure Andre doesn't win, doesn't plan on going through with it. He hauls Andre off and basically goes on the big villain rant at the end of the movie about how he's been trying to keep him in the prison because Andre's roommate who framed him is Owen McQueen, who is the warden's son, and it was the warden who set up the fall for Andre to take, and he needs him to stay in the prison, otherwise his son could get in trouble for it. But then his daughter walks out having recorded this entire confession, and she says, you let him out early, or I'm going to send this to the press, basically, and this is going to be way worse for you. So the movie ends with Andre walking out of the prison and getting into a car with the warden's daughter, and they drive off into the sunset.
Played by Zendaya, by the way.
Yes, she's played by Zendaya.
Once again, I'm incredibly impressed by the level of detail that has gone into this pitch. Clearly, you guys marinated on this one for quite some time. Here's my thing. On a very basic, puerile level, I feel like one of the things that these movies need to accomplish is I need to go into this movie as a non-fan of Fight Night who has never played a Fight Night game before, and I need to come out of it being like, oh man, I'm really into this Fight Night business now. This seems great. I didn't walk out of that pitch being like, oh man, I'm in love with this. But I do respect that it is a pretty solid standalone movie from front to back that isn't dependent on whatever's going to happen in its sequel to kind of justify its events and make sense of what you just witnessed. And so for that reason, it is going to go at number 5 on the list above Mega Man.
Can I ask the host a question real quick?
Yes.
Now, you say this pitch did not make you want to go out and buy Fight Night, didn't want to get into Fight Night. Did this pitch make you want to go and watch the 2008 movie Death Race?
No.
No idea what you're referencing.
I recommend you check out the movie Death Race because replace boxing with car combat, and that's pretty much it.
That sounds amazing.
This
surprisingly close.
This isn't the Sylvester Stallone movie that he did before Rocky.
No, this is Jason Statham.
Okay.
Hold on.
Right at his peak. I think Crank had either about to come out or had just come out.
Okay. Well, I'll keep it in mind. All right, Red Team, are you ready for your next pitch?
We have a question. We have a question, Kozi. As a hypothetical, let's say we prepared
because we did understand the assignment potentially too well.
We did.
hypothetically,
We prepared something that all of this is building towards. Is that movie included in our 5, or is that going to be part of the next round? Because that will influence what we show you next.
Here's what I'll say. The Marvel Cinematic Universe had multiple nexus points. You had the original Avengers movie from 2012. You had Age of Ultron a few years later, and you had the 2 Infinity War movies. So if you have a big inflection point movie where everything comes together, you can still pitch it as part of the first round because there will be more and more things to come after that. You don't need to hold it back if you are concerned that that might hurt you in the long term. Because trust me when I say there are many more punches you'll need to contend with in the coming rounds.
Okay. We will take that into account, and I will take that on our 5th entry. Asa, I'm going to let you take our 4th one.
Okay, so number 4 is, I think we all saw this franchise coming. Obviously, you cannot talk a Capcom cinematic universe without including Bionic Commando.
Okay.
It was an obvious choice.
What Canadian city does it take place in?
I don't understand how you would just assume that we would do something like that, but since you asked, it does take place at the military base located, partially, in stunning Cold Lake, Alberta. We're in the 1960s. It stars Ryan Gosling.
Specific location. All right.
It stars Ryan Gosling as the Commando. Michael Ironside is the voice of the bionic arm that is attached. And then America's actor plays our villain that we'll get to here, is played by Tom Cruise.
Okay.
We are decades removed from a post-global conflict. This is set in a strange alternate timeline where somehow Nazism has not been fully eradicated. Obviously, we're very unfamiliar with that kind of future in the real world. So,
And look on Canada, still got Nazis in the 60s, huh?
It's unfortunate. I mean, this is a weird, bizarro world, Adam, that we would find ourselves in. The Bads, as they're called in the American version of the game,
with 2 Ds.
With 2 Ds. Very important that the 2 Ds get noted. Have taken over the military base in Coldwater, Alberta, and it is up to one man and his experimental talking bionic upgraded weapon to reclaim the army base, to reclaim the city, and potentially reclaim the world from the threat of tyrannical fascism and escaping the iron grasp of the since revived, not actually dead robot Hitler, played by Tom Cruise.
Great.
We see the Commando is dropped alone behind enemy lines. He has nothing but his wits and his bionic arm that he uses as a variety of upgrades. It isn't just the grappling hook. He can use it as a weapon. He can use it as a long-range weapon, as a rifle. He can use it as, obviously, it's metal, so it's got good melee power. But the dynamic between the Commando and the arm is really at the crux of the story, because it is an experimental procedure. This is a one-of-one arm. The arm believes he should be attached to the best and the brightest and the absolute top prospect soldier. However, because of the nature of this experiment, really is what it is, they couldn't do that. They couldn't sacrifice the best and the best and the brightest. They had to go to Ryan Gosling, who is a very, very dedicated person. He is a very, very talented, strong, smart individual, but he's got that rebel streak in him. He doesn't always follow orders like he needs to, whereas the arm, very by the book. It knows all of its, all of the laws, all of the procedures, all of the standards. It knows that. So whenever the Commando wants to go off and be like, no, we need to do it this way, that is how it needs to be done, it gets some fallback on by the arm. Ultimately, they learn to accept one another. Commando learns that his way isn't always the best way. The arm learns that sometimes rules just have to be broken for the greater good. Ultimately, they reclaim this pivotal army base. They reclaim the city and free it from the grips. Unfortunately, the moment that we've been waiting for, that we've been building for, the final conflict between Robot Hitler and the Commando, Robot Hitler does escape, obviously leaving things open to a sequel, because this is going to be, again, you're not just going to get one Bionic Commando movie. Clearly, this is a building, a foundation of Capcom. As for the post-credit scene, which of course is going to be very, very important, the Commando is swinging away from another exploding Bad's base. He has liberated another base, another city from the grips of the Bads. As he launches his arm up, he launches the grappling hook. He grabs on to a tree branch. He swings through, and instead of landing safely on the cliffside, he finds himself falling, landing in an office chair where he rolls straight into a table, slamming into this table. He looks around. It is the far future for him. He doesn't have any idea what's going on.
Wait, how did he get to the far future?
He had swung through a portal that had opened up. So he thought he was going. He thought he was getting ready to land, but he doesn't actually make it to the cliff. Instead, this thing opens up, catches him. That momentum, he lands in the chair. He slides forward, and from behind him, he hears a voice that says, "You're late, but now everyone's here. We can get started."
Bionic Commando will return.
Black screen, white text. Bionic Commando will return.
And the silhouettes, hold on, the silhouettes that you see might be familiar to you from our previous entries in this
I missed
universe.
that, and I apologize. That's my fault. As he looks around, the light is bright because this was at nighttime. He's swinging. He's inside the bright fluorescent lights. Did they have that in the 60s? He doesn't. It's very bright. But you do see the silhouettes. You see the Mega Man silhouette. You see Ryu and Ken. You see Frank West. Potentially maybe there's other seats that are filled by other people that you recognize, but you don't. The audience doesn't really know who's this? Who's that? That looks a lot like so and so.
And the voice we hear, we don't see the body that it belongs to, but the voice we hear. Canadian actor Will Arnett, who has not been in any of our other films yet.
Great.
Where did he come from? Who's he playing?
I gotta be honest with you guys, I was actually pretty distracted during this pitch because I'm a huge fan of Bionicle. And every time you would say Bionic, I was like, oh man, are we talking about a Bionicle movie? No, it's Bionic Commando.
If Capcom had made a Bionic Commando, that would be my entire... Or if Capcom had made a Bionicle game, that would be my entire identity.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's not terrible, but I just feel like there are a lot of weird decisions and missed opportunities. For one, and I am actually being serious when I say this, don't you think that the relationship between the guy wielding the arm, I don't even remember who he is, and the arm itself should be reversed? Shouldn't the arm be kind of like the venom on his shoulder, being like, you can do this and you can just pulverize your enemies, and he's trying to keep himself and the arm in check? I'm a little bit surprised that you would have the arm be the kind of straight-laced figure and him because be the more kind of raging commando.
To me, it's because it is the military issued equipment. It is the personification of that military industrial machine, all kind of distilled, consolidated into this one perfect weapon.
In this continuity, his arm is not like his dead robotic wife that was converted.
I was about to say, his wife is supposed to be the arm, guys. That's lore.
I was going to say, that's a bit of a missed opportunity there.
It's almost like this is an adaptation of the lore.
Yeah, just like the most successful cinematic universe of all time, the MCU also didn't follow exactly the comics as they went.
I will say, I also don't love him just swinging through a portal and ending up in modern day. I feel like you had a prime opportunity to do a Captain America-esque ending there, where he gets frozen or something or other. He gets locked in suspended animation, and then he wakes up in modern day after his little cryo sleep or what have you. But as it stands, again, I don't absolutely hate this, but I'm afraid it's going to have to go at dead last at number 7.
This is all because when we were kids, I grabbed that last Donatello action figure from the KB Toys.
All right.
Alex has always hated me ever since that moment.
Yep.
Yell team, let's go.
I just want to say I love that ending scene. Despite the fact that it didn't make sense, the idea of falling into a portal and then landing in an office chair, very fun.
That's amazing. I will say really quickly, because we had, by the way, this next pitch does have Will Arnett in it, but heads up. But there's so many good actors in this. Do we just want to talk about the actual main story, and if he has questions about amazing actors?
Yeah, we're gonna skip the casting on this. This is a really fast one.
Real quick, we've been recording for close to an hour at this point, and we are still in round 1. So Again,
This'll be fast.
I'm not gonna put a timer on this, but let's get this out real quick.
I'll just say the cast is really, really good.
So this one here, we're pitching. Actually, this is a mini series, not a movie. So we're coming with with a series of show. This is going to be a murder mystery, a drama, ensemble cast romance kind of a thing. Come with me. So when Brandy Broke, played by Samara Weaving, receives a house as an inheritance after the death of a family member, nothing can prepare. Yes.
Time out.
Hi.
What?
Yeah.
What EA franchise is this?
I need you to stick with me. Stay with me.
Okay.
After the death of a family member, nothing can prepare her and her sons for life in Pleasant View. Everything seems perfect at first, if not a bit eccentric, but as the Brokes become closer to their neighbors, they realize that not everything is as pleasant as it seems. Then the murders start. People drowning in pools, kitchens being set ablaze, firework incidents. People claim to see Bella Goth, played by Jennifer Aniston, a woman who went missing 2 years ago, haunting the neighborhood, appearing right before every body is found. Fingers start to point, tensions rise, and the neighbors must come together to catch a killer before their population hits zero. With nearly 20 neighborhoods to franchise and numerous families with dramas to pull from, welcome to our miniseries version of The Sims.
Boom.
Okay.
Inspired by Little Fires Everywhere, Pretty Little Liars, Final Destination. It is a miniseries that has a ton of family dramas in it. We have casted, I think, like 6 families alone that all have interconnected stories. It is a miniseries directed by Ryan Johnson, who's done Knives Out. Other things that Ryan Johnson has done. Go.
Poker Face.
Uh-huh.
That's the other mystery one.
Everyone's least favorite Star Wars movie.
Oh, the best Star Wars movie, actually.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, this is a miniseries that can be done in a ton of different settings over and over and over again, creating a franchise in and of itself of small shows.
Like American Horror Story, but murder mystery.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't the idea?
How would this tie into any of the previous?
Let us cook.
Oh, okay.
Huh?
I just thought we were eating already, so it's weird that the cooking needs to still happen.
That was the
This
appetizer.
is Jan's
One of those
dinner party.
parties you get invited to where they don't
This
eat
is
until like 11:30 p.m.
This is one
In
of those
Spain.
like no. This is the most fancy like courses of meals that you sit and you enjoy every single bite.
Yeah, you wash your
And at
hands
the
in
end,
that.
they
It's
tell
not
you,
soup.
oh, it was all the same human that you ate. Every course was the same.
Yep. Welcome to Murder Mystery. We casted like a whole bunch of families and stuff with this. It is a lot of folks. But yeah, so we pitched to you. Welcome to Pleasant View, a mini-series murder mystery.
I mean, I like the idea of, taking the, fairly family-friendly Sims franchise and, giving it a little bit of a edgy reimagining. I really do like that. Now,
I mean, that's just how you play The Sims, though, right? You're taking ladders, tools, you're making doors go away.
Yeah. Now, I will say, a little slightly against the rules have it be a mini-series as opposed to a movie, but to be fair, the MCU does that as well. We've had WandaVision, we've had Loki. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to rank this one at number 4. Above Mass Effect Archangel, underneath Dead Rising. I think it being a miniseries, even though I just said that it was kind of against rules, I actually think that's what gives this one a bit of a leg up, just because it's pretty distinct from a lot of the other entries on this list in terms of its format. All right, guys. Are we ready for the final pitch from round 1 from Team
Alex.
Capcom?
In the culmination of everything, like the assignment said to do, let us tell you about a movie called Versus.
Okay.
You may recognize that title. It harkens back to things like Marvel versus Capcom, SNK versus Capcom, all of these things. It's just called Versus. All of this has been leading to one event in particular. In our timeline, in 2018, Capcom Vancouver closed permanently. No longer to make video games, Dead Rising 5 being canceled. What happens after that? Microsoft loses the console wars. Xbox no longer in first place, and in fact, it's fallen far from. In the far, far, far future, it is bleak. And we know that this is the inflection point. This is what causes all of that to happen. The closing of Capcom Vancouver. Master Chief, everyone. Canadian actor Will Arnett playing Master Chief because Microsoft owned a minority stake in Capcom Vancouver.
And also,
Therefore,
don't worry,
they have skin in
we
the game.
cleared it.
It's true. It's true.
We cleared it.
Master Chief has been going throughout these timelines and assembling a team of Capcom's greatest rosters to fight everyone else in 2017 and 2018 who released killer games, causing Capcom Vancouver to fall out of the spotlight. Here's our pitch. This happens all over the city of Vancouver. Summer 2018, just before the closure of the studio. Master Chief comes to Vancouver from the future. They've figured out time travel, obviously, and is attempting to stop the closure of the studio. Microsoft has realized this. They are making sure that their minority stake in Capcom Vancouver is the key to their success. And if they could just keep that from going under, they can actually come out on top and save the world. So Master Chief is recruiting these characters. We see Frank West, Ryan Reynolds. We see Master Chief. We see Bionic Commando. We see Ryu and Ken. We see Mega Man. We see Beautiful Joe for the first time, sparking further interest in the cinematic universe for extra movies coming in Phase 2. Not only would you see these folks, we see Master Chief leading them into battle to systematically take out all of the opposing games that stole the air from Capcom in 2017 and 2018, including Kratos, Aloy, Link, Peter Parker, Mario, and Cade 6. That is our movie. It is Versus. It is the Capcom Vancouver crew and Master Chief versus all of the other shit that caused them to go under. I'll let you figure out for yourselves where that all lands. Post-credit scene, 2 years later. Vancouver's restored. It's beautiful again. There are Dead Rising 5 billboards everywhere, meaning we actually succeeded. Capcom Vancouver is back alive.
And it's great. Dead Rising 5 is great. They didn't do a gritty reboot.
Great. Metacritic of 98. We zoom out to see a man standing on the rooftop of a building. No, not a 99. There are always going to be stinkers out there that just rate things bad for no reason. We zoom out, and on the rooftop, we see a man in a black trench coat, black sunglasses, talking into an earpiece with an umbrella logo on it, saying, "I've tracked Leon to a city in British Columbia, confirming we're on for Project T." Boom, fade to black.
Also,
the
a real
Capcom
quick
cinematic
note.
universe will return.
Real quick note, because we weren't sure if we were going to be allowed to use the crossover pitch as our fifth movie, or if we were going to be tied to another just actual franchise. We do have a full pitch for the Beautiful Joe movie that will follow. It'll be the next movie following Versus, and it is starring Nathan Fillion.
Okay. Well, we'll save that until later.
I'm sorry?
Is Nathan
Canadian?
Canadian?
I am not even sure.
You know what? I think he is.
He probably is.
I think he is.
He's that
Here's
great
what
and
I'll
talented.
say.
I'm
Here's
on it.
what
I'm
I'll
on
say.
it. I'm on it. Canadian, yeah.
He is.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Damn, I
There
guess
we go.
all the best actors.
He's
and
both.
best
He's
people are
both, to be
Canadian.
fair.
Here's what I'll say about Versus. I really like the idea of like the kind of core thing that they're fighting over in Versus being the closure of an actual real life Capcom studio. That's actually a really original idea. I like the idea of these movies actually kind of calling attention to the real life injustices and realities of working in the video game industry, of the actual people that were responsible for bringing these characters to light. I don't love the fact that you guys lean so heavily into characters that are not predominantly known for being part of Capcom. I know that you said that you cleared Master Chief, and I respect and understand that, but like I feel like it would have hit so much more if you guys were like, oh, it's, I don't know, Dr. Light from Mega Man, or some other wizened Capcom character who you could theoretically imagine pulling characters from portals from different time periods from throughout history. As it stands,
but it's in Capcom's DNA. Marvel is not a Capcom thing, but man, Marvel versus Capcom 2 specifically. Oh, let me take you for a ride.
Again, I really, really like the central thing that they're fighting over in this movie. However, ultimately, I got to put it at number 3, above Dead Rising, but underneath Street Fighter World Battle Tournament. I think that Street Fighter World Battle Tournament just had a better, like, emotional core to it, and also I feel, actually centered around actual Capcom characters.
That's fair.
Not bad, but feel like you could have ended it with just a little bit more oomph. But obviously, we still have more games to come. Are the EA Teamsters ready for their final pitch?
Adam.
You want me to go this? All right.
Yep.
This is a good one. We decided to have a fun with the last, and let me get through the pitch before you ask any questions, okay? Because by the way, it's all been cleared. So, what does everybody love? Road trips, comedies, musicals, perhaps, nostalgia, all that good stuff, right? Our idea is a really cool road trip movie. Let me walk you through it. Femur Leak is an old washed-up rock band that played across Florida State in the 90s. Quentin Lance, played by Zac Efron, a married man who works a 9-to-5, still dreams of the glory days of traveling around the states playing with the boys. One day he gets a call from an old friend, we'll let you know who that is in a little bit, asking if they want to be the backup band for them at Coachella. He immediately says yes without consulting the bandmates, and then goes to gather his old friends for a road trip across the country, just like old times. Don't you feel that apple pie? It tastes like nostalgia. It's great. Tommy LaRock, played by Taika Waititi, is the eccentric music teacher at the local high school. He's actually rather content with his life and doesn't want to go. But seeing Lance so excited has him go, oh, what the hell, why not? But in a New Zealand accent. They head up to Orlando to find Penny Twilight, played by Karen Gillan, who works as a drummer in Pandora at Disney World. I didn't read that part before. She works at Pandora. Okay. She's eager to throw down her sticks and quit her job on the spot. They find bassist Elroy Bogart Jr., played by Will Ferrell, working as a single father for Cassidy Jones, played by Storm Reed. Elroy took her in after the original drummer Isaac Jones, played by John C. Reilly, died and has been raising her as a single father. She demands to come along as a rhythm guitar player, and off the band goes. So Femur Leak goes on a trip across the country, stopping to play practice gigs at every festival and bar they can. At some point, Tommy gets shingles and has to leave, and Cassidy sees her chance to become the new lead guitarist. But young prodigy rock star Robert Hartz, how do you say this man's last name? David, what is it? Mazouz?
I think it's Mazouz.
Mazouz swoops
David
in.
Mazouz.
Yes. New rock star guy swoops in, wows the older members, and gets the position. Hijinks, soul searching, and comedy ensues until the band finally reaches Coachella, where it's revealed that Jack Black and Tenacious D is Lance's old friend. Remember at the beginning of the movie when they said, come hang out with us? And the climax of the movie is they finally get up on stage to perform with Tenacious D, and they perform a rock version of Powerline to close out the movie.
Oh.
And throughout their journey, they're accosted by a rival band, Connect 3, played by the Jonas Brothers.
Okay. The Powerline thing, that definitely raised this one by quite a few slots. What's this one called again?
This movie is called Rock Band.
Perfect.
There's actually a joke at the end of the movie when they get to Coachella and they're getting checked in, and they're the two guys at the thing, played by Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart, are like, hey, you guys need to check in. What's your band name? Like, oh man, we forgot. We're so drunk. I think it's Femur or something. You know what? Your guy's name, Rock Band. So they are the Rock Band.
Very, very clever. Very clever. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this one at the number 5 slot. Underneath Dead Rising, but above the Sims miniseries. That last-minute reveal of the Powerline ballad from the Goofy movie, like that definitely made this one bump up by quite a few slots. Hold on. I need to challenge
Adam's knowledge.
What is it, Chad?
They're singing the song Powerline.
No, they're singing Powerline songs. They're performing Powerline, as in the artist.
One or two of
Eye to Eye.
Song? What's a second one?
I can look it up in my research.
I'm only gonna sing one, right? If you don't want to have them do too many songs at the end of the movie, otherwise you're gonna lose your attention. They just have to do the one.
I'm sure that in the modern day, like Skrillex or what have you, did like a remix of Eye to Eye or something. Like they'll probably play that as well.
But now it's Jack Black and Zac Efron and Will Ferrell and everybody.
Yeah.
The Jonas Brothers are mad in the crowd that they couldn't get on stage. It's great.
Yeah, this pitch, I mean, much like the Fight Night pitch, I didn't walk out of this being like, oh man, I just absolutely adore Rock Band now. But you got some good people in that movie. Again, Powerline. I'm going to say it many, many times from here on out. I can't put it super high, but yeah, it's going at number 5.
Now,
and with that,
before you move on,
yes.
Do you want to say this last statement, or do you want to save that for later?
I mean, if you wanted to go for it, go for it.
You read it, because it's funnier.
It's funnier? Okay. So anyway, as you've noticed, we don't really have a grander universe. We don't have our big finale movie that sweeps everything up. Because instead of appealing to EA's desire to make like one franchise limited to this like one little sandbox that requires all of these like disparate stories from their like beautiful narrative catalog to be forced into one story, we've decided to appeal to their greed instead. So our shared universe is just Electronic Arts, the actual studio themselves. We're providing them with the best chance to make money from all their properties as possible by delving into different styles of movie, doing the mini series, going into genres, making movies for kids. We want to have them go across the board. It prevents franchise fatigue because now they're no longer, oh no, I have to go and watch 15 million EA movies to get and watch the newest one. No, you have a smaller franchise that you can come and bring back whenever you want to. You get to see your favorite characters also without having to them be like bogged down by someone trying to force Mario into the movie when Mario doesn't really need to be there. So I think that this is much more stylistically appropriate for EA as a studio and also does a better service to the actual properties that EA has in their catalog.
Thank you very much for that closing statement.
Really respect that. I'm just going to forewarn you, you might need to break with that in some of the latter rounds. But until then...
Speaking of ladder rounds, Kozi.
Chad, I need to read the list. Make it quick.
Break the wall real quick. I've got like 40 minutes because I have to get to this CVS before 8 o'clock.
Okay.
Are we able to wrap this up before then?
I might have to drop a round or two, but we'll make it work. All right.
Okay.
So far, our list is as follows. Number 10, we have Bionic Commando. Number 9, we have Mega Man, Rise of the Robot Masters. And number 8, we have Fight Night. Number 7, we have Mass Effect, Archangel. Number 6, we have The Sims miniseries. And number 5, we have Rock Band. Number 4, we have Dead Rising. And number 3, we have Versus, featuring Master Chief and a whole lot of non-Capcom characters. And number 2, we have Street Fighter World Battle Tournament. And at number 1, still holding on strong, we have Alice, the Madness of the Wonderland. And with that, it's time for round 2 of the show. Ladies and gentlemen, fair competitors of Pitch Perfect, I have to be honest with you, I don't really feel like you really plumbed the depths of what EA and Capcom's gaming libraries have to offer. You certainly doled out some established, successful properties that many people know and love, but we're here to build cinematic universes that represent everything these brands have to offer, no matter how obscure or irrelevant. In the lead up to the show, I told you to come prepared with thought-out ideas that you would be pitching to me, but now that we're in the show's second round, it's time to improvise. In a moment, I'm going to ask the four of you, one by one, to pick a random number and a random letter. Based on the number and letter chosen, you'll each be given both a random EA or Capcom property that hasn't been mentioned yet, and a random film genre. Stew on your selections, let them marinate deeply within your mind, and when I say that it's time, you'll have to pitch me on how you would make a movie out of this property within this genre, and how you would fit it into your burgeoning cinematic universe. If your improvised pitch is a winner, I'll slot it on the list where it belongs and shift everything that's beneath it down a slot. But if it fails to win my favor, it won't make the list. All sounds good?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Team Capcom. I want the two of you to pick a number between 1 and 10.
Chad, if I may, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5-star man.
Oh, nice. Are fractions allowed?
And
I'm gonna go with 9.
okay, 5 and 9. All right. And I want you to pick 2 different letters between A and E.
I'll go with C for Capcom.
I'm gonna go for. Oh wait. Oh, got it. I'm gonna go for D. That way we're cock and dick.
Cock and Dick.
Yes.
I was gonna say
Again,
for
mine stands
Capcom.
for Capcom.
Asa, you are going to do a mockumentary based on the Darkstalkers franchise. And Chad, you're going to pitch a sports movie based on the Okami franchise.
Chad loves sports.
Real quick. Did you say mockumentary or documentary?
Mockumentary.
Mockumentary. Thank you.
All right. Team A, same thing. I need you, the two of you to pick a number between 1 and 10.
2.
I'll take 7.
2 and 7. All right. And second verse, same as the first. I need you to pick 2 letters between A and E.
E.
B. Bingo.
Adam, you are going to do a film noir movie based around Mirror's Edge.
Oh, fuck, I love that.
Ari, you're going to do a found footage movie based around the Madden franchise. Man, I love these randomly selected nonsenses. Are we ready to go, Team Capcom?
I am.
Remember, Chad has to be at the bodega in 40 minutes, so do it for Chad.
Yes. Let's let Asa go first.
Okay. So the mockumentary Darkstalkers: The Night Warriors. What this is as everyone knows, the Darkstalkers, it's hard to say though, the Darkstalkers franchise is all about the merging of the planet Earth with the Dark Realm, and in that process, all of the monsters of myth and legend come out and battle one another. This mockumentary is about a team that has been researching about this once every 150-year tournament that takes place. It begins with them doing research, finding all of these examples of land. No, my brain just completely turned off with the word that I'm looking for. All of this evidence of previous tournaments, bits of things that aren't of this world, skeletons that people deem hoaxes or just unknown, but they know that there's more to it. They know that the fate of the Earth could be involved here. As their research leads them farther and farther along, and as they're trying to overcome these government forces that are trying to keep them away from the Arctic Wall, because that does exist. It's not because of flat Earth reasons, obviously, but it is the location of the battleground that will ultimately, potentially, engulf the entire planet. And it's up to this team to have to research and try to get the people of the world aware of what exactly is at stake and what is going on with these mythical creatures have begun to cross over. We're getting more and more examples of like these, haunted houses and ghosts and the what's the fancy word for like Bigfoot and Chupacabra and all of those. They're not
Cryptid.
of this earth. The cryptid, thank you. All of these cryptids, they are actually competitors in this. Ultimately, it leads to the team and Morrigan, the one character from Darkstalkers that everybody knows because of Marvel vs. Capcom, having to work together to ultimately see and report the sending away, the repelling of these shadow forces to save the Earth.
I don't feel like there was a whole lot of mockumentary in that pitch, but I do really like the title Darkstalkers: The Night Warriors, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to slot this one at number 8, underneath Mass Effect Archangel, but above Fight Night. Chad, I'm going to give you a little more leeway, and I'm going to scoot on over to Adam.
Ooh, okay.
And have him deliver his pitch next.
Okay, so the idea of this movie, it's film noir, Mirror's Edge, right? So we follow Faith Connors, who's the main character from Mirror's Edge. The entire movie is, again, noir, so sepia tone, black and white, but there are splashes of reds, yellows, and blues, a la just like Mirror's Edge is. So, again, mostly dark tones, except for once in a while we get like a red streak. Faith is, she helps the detective. She's basically like the errand person, like she helps out. There's a guy who works at a detective agency, she helps him out. So she's running and doing her parkour stuff. She's like, all right, we got a classic noir. There's heist movie. There's, that sort of things. It's like, all right, you got to get into this gangster's house. You got to get the stuff out. So it's her running around the rooftops, getting the stuff, getting out, very stylized, very over the top. So in a twist on the genre, she is the protagonist as well as the femme fatale, because sometimes she'll be like, oh, hey, what am I? I'm just a helpless old lady. But then we all know Faith is a badass, kicks the dude out a window, jumps out with the goods. So it's basically a reverse on a film noir where the helpless female main character is actually the protagonist and a total badass and is helping solve crimes and murders in 1950s New York.
What's it called?
It's called The Mirror's Edge.
The Mirror's Edge.
That's film noir, baby. You got to put a "the" in front of it. Come on now.
That's actually, I got to be honest, that's a pretty good title. And we've had like many good titles so far. Certainly this game that we've been playing has not been lacking in good titles, but that was pretty good. Pretty good. Where do I want to rank this one? You know what, ladies and gentlemen? I'm thinking, I might be crazy saying this, but I'm thinking that we might have a new number 2 spot on the list.
What?
Nice.
In the top 5.
That's right. I'm putting The Mirror's Edge at number 2. I gotta be honest, Adam, I was very pleased with the way that you actually managed to figure out how to take this very un-noir-esque franchise and actually turn it into a noir, but while also subverting, what you would expect out of the genre. And so, yeah, for that reason, I'm going to put it at the number 2 spot. Underneath Alice, the Madness of the Wonderland, and Street Fighter World Battle Tournament. These are some very, very hard to pronounce names. Chad, are you ready?
Let me tickle your fancy, Alex. I'm going to tell you about a movie. I'll save the title for the end.
Okay.
Because of the success in our world-defining movie called Versus, we're able to now take a look into the future at what are some of the things that happened because of that success, because Capcom Vancouver now exists and has made the world a better place. Well, one of the things, far into the future, there's now a new sport, a new race of beings, these gods, these dog-like gods that have special powers, right?
Yeah.
And part of what Ryu happened to do after winning this battle in Versus is that he helped to teach people the power of Hadouken and magic and all of these things. And so in the future, you can imagine there's now a sport where these fire god dogs, combining different shaped balls and things like that with the power of Hadouken to get goals and score points and things like that. It's a new sport that developed because of it. There's one particular dog, Amaterasu, who was born with a broken reflector. If you're not familiar, it's the reflector on the back of him that allows him to channel his fire powers. And this is a slight different take on the origin story, as you will. So this reflector was broken when it was first given to him at birth, and he's not as good as the other dogs in the sport, unfortunately. But he doesn't let that stop him. He continues to train and train and train and get better and learns through hard times and adversity that he himself is enough. He doesn't have to rely on his reflector, and he can summon the power from within himself to do Ryu's Hadouken, even without the reflector. And so he ends up winning the championship in this new sport, and this movie is called Amaterasu, From Broken to Hadouken.
Allow me to read from the official Wikipedia entry for Okami, the 2006 Capcom game developed by Clover Studio. Set in classical Japan, Okami combines Japanese mythology and folklore to tell the story of how the land was saved from darkness by the Shinto sun goddess named Amaterasu, who took the form of a white wolf.
And I mentioned we're taking a little bit different origin story for this one because of the events of Versus, of course.
Yeah,
So
there's
it's a
too many
little
female
different than
characters in Versus,
you might
so
have known.
we gotta...
I gotta be honest, I was the
Exactly.
moment that
It
you
wasn't
said
your gender
Amaterasu,
bending, all these kinds of things.
the moment you said Amaterasu, I was like, okay, you actually got that one correct. You didn't say that its same as Okami. That's great. And then you said it was a he. I'm sorry, Chad. I'm not even going to rank this one on the list.
We don't adhere to gender stereotypes here and gender norms. We are blind casting everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wait,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
didn't even like that title, Amaterasu Broken to Hadouken?
Between the name and the correct
Title's
It's not
pronunciation.
very good. All right,
I
honestly,
know.
God.
No. I'm on your side. The title's phenomenal.
If you put
thank
sports
you.
in front of Chad, he does not know what to do.
Except I fucking knocked it out of the park with that one.
Ari, last pitch of round 2. Let's go.
Yeah. So I have, funny enough, I have found footage and Madden, which is basically mockumentary and sports. No, this is a movie that's about an up and coming like Zoomer rookie in the NFL doing sort of social media documentary, like recording his entire process from becoming a rookie up until becoming one of the greatest football players in the league. And the whole story is told through social media posts and like vlogs and news reports and news articles and all of the like of that, showing kind of his journey and like the trials and tribulations of doing sport ball. Very quick, very simple
larger
pitch.
cinematic universe again?
Oh, you can make like 8 million of these, and EA would love that.
Nailed it.
Uh-huh. That's the pitch. It is literally just a collection. It is the story of, you know, in this movie, maybe it's like a young somebody who again football through college, all that kind of a thing, getting finally to play in the big leagues, and what it's like to kind of join a team, and what also his kind of like also rising social media stardom does for the team's popularity as well.
I'm just sort of trying to understand, like, is the idea that like all this footage was like recorded on like a handy cam and then somebody discovered it, like hence the found footage
it's
genre?
Almost, well, so found footage technically is just meant to be sort of things done from handy cam perspective, right? So Chronicle is also a found footage movie that isn't necessarily as kind of a horror, but like it's not required to be a horror. It's not required to be, yes, I unburied this footage. It is all about the perspective itself being kind of from that first person. The camera itself is a character that like someone's holding and carrying around.
Correcting the host, huh? Bold.
I looked it up because I was like, oh.
You know what? I don't. Much
and to
like
be fair,
Fight
it could
Night,
be a fan collection. What if it's similar to a video on YouTube? A fan has gone and been like, I compiled all of the vlogs and all of this stuff from Superstar, Mr. John Madden, whatever they name the character in that film, because you can make 80 million of these, and EA loves that.
much like Fight Night, I didn't walk away from this one being like, oh man, totally love Madden now. But I do respect you justifying why this still counts as a found footage movie. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to rank it at number 10. And with that, our current ranking is as follows. At number 10, the Madden found footage movie. At number 9, Darkstalkers, The Night Warriors. At number 8, Mass Effect Archangel. At number 7, The Sims miniseries. At number 6, The Rock Band movie. At number 5, Dead Rising. At number 4, Versus, featuring Master Chief and many non-Capcom characters. At number 3, Street Fighter World Battle Tournament. At number 2, The Mirror's Edge. And finally, at number 1, still holding out strong, Alice, the Madness of the Wonderland. Even though Team EA occupies the top 2 spots on the list, currently, Capcom technically has the advantage because they occupy spots 3, 4, and 5. But that might change in this next round because we have arrived at the final round of Pitch Perfect and the round that'll determine who wins the show. My fair contestants, it's time for the grand finale of our cinematic universes. After 3 rounds of table-setting movies, spin-offs, and wayward genres, and all sorts of other weird stuff, and by the way, I just said 3 rounds because there was going to be another round in there, but I had to cut it out for time. It's time for the EA and Capcom cinematic universes to have their Avengers Endgame moments. In this round, both of your teams will be pitching me a final sweeping crossover movie in which all the characters from every movie you own that are currently on the list will come together to defeat a primordial evil. However, if you already have the perfect villain in mind to be your cinematic universe's Thanos, I'm afraid that you're going to have to dash that thought aside. That's because the final grand opponent of your cinematic universes will be the protagonist of the other team's highest rank entry on the list. So, in the case of Team EA, for example, the villain of your final crossover movie is going to be, I presume, either Ken or Ryu, or maybe both of them, because Street Fighter World Battle Tournament is the highest ranked Capcom movie on this list. And in the case of you Capcom guys, the villain of your final crossover movie is going to be Alice, because she is the protagonist of Alice, the Madness of Wonderland, which is at the number 1 spot. If your team makes the better pitch of how you would pull off this cinematic feat, you'll get to take over the entry on the list currently held by the villain in question. Are we ready?
I'm so nervous, but yes.
Getting there.
And specifically, we have to do the characters that are represented on this list, right?
Correct.
So for Capcom, it would be Street Fighter versus Dead Rising and Darkstalkers.
Yeah, and likewise, EA will have to pull from the characters of Madden, Mass Effect, Sims, Rock Band,
We have
Mirror's
so many
Edge,
on here.
and
Okay.
Alice. All right. Any takers on who wants to go first?
Erica's still typing, so no.
I'm
say we
listing
can
what we
go.
have in the top 10. Yeah, go for
All
it.
right. Capcom stepping up to the plate. Let's go.
So, the Versus has concluded. Heroes have fallen. The team that remains, of course, is we have Street Fighters. We had could you pull up that list one more time for me? I'm sorry.
Not a problem.
Street Fighters, Dead Rising, and the Darkstalkers. That is going to be our core cast for this, because even though Versus is still on there, I feel like that's a cop-out to just like use the heroes that have already been eliminated. So what happens is another grave threat to the universe. Alice has unfortunately fallen to the madness. Alice herself has become a dark force for evil. After destroying the EA landscape before destroying potentially other video game landscape companies, Alice has now set her sights on the Capcom universe with one goal in mind: to convert all of the brave heroes of the Capcom universe into soulless, money-making, robotic, cash-spewing pachinko machines.
No.
At the
No.
at the behest of her evil, capitalistic, AI-controlled masters, she is coming to claim all of these properties and just turn them into worthless, soulless cash grab machines. So the heroes left in our Capcom adventure must stand together, must retain their heart, must retain why they are fighting, why they do what they do, and hopefully, potentially, even free the once pure, once magical Alice from the grips of these evil overlords, and to restore the dignity and the direction and the art and the heart of all of these franchises.
What are we
Goosebumps.
calling this?
Goosebumps.
Chad, what are we calling this?
Pachink, no.
I'll take it. I'll take it. All right. That was certainly a pitch, but can Team EA do better?
I think we're going to do great there, Chad.
That was amazing.
That was
All right.
certainly a pitch.
You continue to type. I'll just set it up at the beginning. What could be a greater enemy to the entire universe than the idea of the movie Versus? What we're fighting, the thing that our characters are dealing with, is the cash grab of the plundering of the properties of another studio and trying to make money off of themselves. The enemy of our movie is the idea of Master Chief pulling and fighting. And
Hold on.
It's awful. You
I'm
guys
sorry,
are
are we doing the
real
wrong
quick.
movie?
Real quick.
no. I have to fight Versus. Oh no, I have to fight Street Fighter. Scratch that.
Oh.
Scratch that.
I was
Very
into
easy.
It
Go
is so.
for
It's
it.
not that.
It was
So
a
the
good
actual.
idea, but anyways.
Well, the
Yeah.
story. The story is directly related to this. So the Versus universe did not conclude. In fact, the twistings of the Versus universe have caused a ripple effect across other franchises, across universes that they never even dreamed of, and so portals and worlds start crashing together in across the EA franchises. The Rock Band group, the car comes crashing through Pleasantville. The Cheshire Cat comes tumbling up through a drain in the tub and arrives in someone's house. It is a cacophony, and it is a mess, and it is chaotic, and no one knows what to do until, from on high, these two deliciously muscular men come tumbling down.
Gross.
And they say, "Do not fear. We have experienced this before." And Ken and Ryu come to act as saviors, and they promise to restore the balance of these universes being individualized without having to worry about their homes being destroyed. And it goes great for a while until the characters start realizing that there's something else going on here, and they uncover the plot that Ken and Ryu are actually here to take people from their universe and bring it back into verses, like they've been plundering from all of the other franchises that they shouldn't be plundering in. And they plan on having them join their terrible fighting tournament just to lose, just to make themselves look cool. And our characters cannot stand for this. And so they must band together to send Ken and Ryu back to the Versus universe and keep them there forever.
This is what I meant to say. Ari just said it much better because I was reading it as maybe it's being typed up. I didn't really understand. That's the pitch.
Fuck. These are both, I gotta be honest, these are both two really good pitches. I feel like, I don't remember what the two final pitches were for the last time we did Pitch Perfect, but I feel like one of those pitches was like distinctly better than the other one. Both of these, Pachink No and do you guys have a name for yours?
Adam?
My computer's breaking up. Continue.
Oh, no.
That's a weird name for a movie, but I like it.
It's Independent Arts.
Independent Arts.
Electronics
a
on
little
Arts
bit of, a little bit of a
presents.
mouthful, but I respect it. I think these are both two really good, really interesting ideas. I like the idea that Ken and Ryu come through the portal as saviors. You think that they're here to do good. It's a subversion of expectations, and then you realize, oh, they've been bad all along, and they've been nurturing and fomenting this like insidious plot to just completely tarnish the lives of everybody that they've invaded. At the same time, Chink No, what an amazing name and an amazing premise as well. Ah, man.
And you know what you loved about the Capcom Vancouver and pulling in these very real things, like game franchises being destined and doomed to end up as pachinko machines is a very real concern.
It is.
Like we're pulling that in.
I will say that maybe there's a bit on this show that should continue no matter what.
See, and that's where that's just full on mask off.
Yeah. See,
I know. I mean, look, we did a very good job, I think, flexing and being like, oh, we have to connect a bunch of disparate ideas, and I think that the final product that we came up with
preparing.
There are
was
now
really solid.
17 pages based on what Ari has done. It is amazing.
And not a single one of them connected, like the assignment said.
I followed the assignment that I was given. I'm gonna put that out there.
And you delivered some fantastic movie pitches, no doubt about that. Man,
We can all agree that all of these pitches were better than the video game theme park ones, though.
Oh,
Like, I think
yeah,
we came.
100%.
Ari and I
Video game
came in
theme
and
park
killed
ones,
it.
though?
I'm just saying.
Oh, that's true.
Even
that's true. Y'all did kill
even
it.
the worst pitch on this list that I have in front of me right here, definitely better than some of those pitches from
I cannot
the theme park
disagree.
episode.
So just, pat
the
ourselves on
thing,
the back
though.
a little bit.
Master
Here's the thing,
Cheeks
though.
at night, though.
Here's the thing, though, ladies and gentlemen. Throughout this game show, there was a team. There was a team that, at every possible instance, tried to pander to my Canadianness. Oh man, now it takes place in Toronto. Now it's in Montreal. Now it's in some city on the border of Alberta. And I was very hip to what they were doing, and I chastised them for it, and I criticized them for it, and they would not stop. But at the very last minute, when they pitched Pachinko, I didn't hear a single instance of some godforsaken new location in Canada that Pachinko would be set. And for that reason, Pachinko is going to number one, baby.
We did it, Atreus! We did it!
We did it, buddy.
Yes! Alice.
I literally, so a little bit of backstory real quick. He sent me a message. He's like, hey, this is going to be fun. This is going to be a good time. I just want you to be aware we won't win. There's a running gag that I don't win these episodes. So I told him I am coming in prepared. And maybe it wasn't 17 pages prepared, but ultimately that ended up being a positive, I think. We came in very prepared. I told him I was getting him his win. Chad, buddy.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mom.
Yeah. Congratulations to Team Capcom, the winners, and congratulations to Team EA, who also did very well. At the end of the day, even though Team Capcom managed to pull off their victory, Team EA, you guys were real contenders as well. Both of you had an equal number of entries on the list. If we extend the list just a little bit beyond what we can currently see, at the number 13 slot, we had Bionic Commando at the very end. Then above that, we have Mega Man Rise of the Robot Masters at the number 12 spot. And at the number 11 spot, we would have had Fight Night. At the number 10 spot, now visible on the list, we have the Madden Found Footage movie. At number 9, we have Darkstalkers, The Night Warriors. Number 8, Mass Effect Archangel. Number 7, The Sims miniseries. At number 6, Rock Band. At number 5, Dead Rising. At number 4, Versus, featuring Master Chief. At number 3, Street Fighter World Battle Tournament. At number 2, The Mirror's Edge. And finally, at number 1, Pachink No, which I stylized with a dash and an exclamation point.
It's exactly
how you
how
saw
I
the
envisioned
vision.
it. Yep.
Yeah, I saw the vision. Whew! And with that, we've arrived at the end of tonight's installment of Pitch Perfect. Remember that this production is part of a series of monthly rotating shows we do, and that you can enjoy new installments of the show a month early if you subscribe to us over on Patreon at patreon.com/respawnaimfire. We deeply appreciate your support and encourage any feedback you might have on how we can make these productions even better. Ari and Asa, thank you so much once again for taking your time out of your schedule to do this with us.
Carry it through to the end.
If people wanted to find you online or anywhere in the world, where could they do so? And is there anything that you're up to that you would want to plug?
Winners first.
Sure. Yeah, you can find me pretty much any of the social media places, Blue Sky, the one we're still calling Twitter, Threads, Instagram, any of that, at the 5-Star Man with the number 5. I host a weekly pro wrestling news review preview podcast. We also talk about like action figures and video game stuff as well within the world of wrestling. San Diego Comic-Con was this past weekend, so we got a bunch of reveals there. So this week, the episode we record on Thursday, we'll be talking about a bunch of action figures reveals, as well as ROH's Death Before Dishonor. The show is called Nerdiest Part of the Ring, and you can find us on the social media threads. I literally just started an Instagram for it last night because I'm pretty sure Twitter is finally dying the slow, terrible death that it deserves. But Twitter as well, it's all at Nerdiest Part.
People that are part of the Kind of Funny community will know that you've been kind of a mainstay of it for a little while now. So I'd imagine that we'll probably see more of you pop up here, there, and everywhere within it sometime soon, or maybe sometime never. Who knows?
Fingers crossed. We'll see.
Ari.
You can find me on the Isle of Misfit Rolls, where I play D&D with Adam on, I think, episodes live on Twitch most Tuesdays. We just finished our actual first campaign. We started literally forever ago. So soon enough, we'll be starting a brand new campaign that is going to be a seafaring adventure. It'll be a lot of fun. So that'll be Tuesdays at Misfit Rolls on Twitch. We have Twitter for that as well. Same name, RIP Twitter. That's kind of it. I don't do socials anymore, so just playing some D&D.
Cool. And with that, we'd like to thank you once again for tuning in to Respawn Aim Fire. We'll see you next time.